No.
Every year, hundreds of people go missing inside of national parks all over North America. But of those hundreds of people every year, a few of them go missing under very strange circumstances.
Okay. But all I'm saying is, if it's hundreds of people every single year, just block those places off. Lock it off. Not no regular ass lock. Adidas lock. I can't see shit.
A man named David Paulides, who's a former police detective, has made it his mission to look into just the bizarre disappearances that are occurring all over North America in his series that's called Missing 411. So there are thousands of these strange cases inside of Missing 411 that David Paulides has poured tens of thousands of hours of research into. And he puts them into books, into documentaries. And so there's really no shortage of strange cases to look at. But as I begin my own research into Missing 411 and learn about these different cases, I have been pulling groups of stories that stand out to me as being particularly interesting or just fascinating or just strange. And I'm making videos to highlight those stories. And so I've already done one video like this where I highlighted 5 stories that I thought were particularly strange. You can find that in the description. I left a link to that video if you want to check that out. And so today I'm going to be looking at another 5 cases from the Missing 411 project that are just totally weird. But before we get into today's stories, if you're interested in the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, you've come to the right channel, because I post 3 to 4 times a week all about the strange, dark, and mysterious, like I'm promising to deliver today. And if that's your deal, I would ask you to please gently uppercut the like button, and then also subscribe to my channel and turn on all post notifications so you don't miss any of those 3 to 4 weekly uploads. All right, let's get into the story.
It's a little different.
So this first one really takes the cake.
Oh, yeah?
Just being strange. You have a family that basically has 2 experiences that are somewhat connected. You're gonna have to be the judge if they're connected or not, but very strange.
They are.
On October 1st of 2010, this family, who decided to remain anonymous for the Missing 411 story, they go camping, and it's a 3.5-year-old boy, his older sister, and then the mom and the dad. And so they go camping at Mount Shasta in California, which is a popular camping site. And the family loved to go camping there. And so they're all sitting around the campfire, kind of hanging out at the campsite. It's getting late in the evening, maybe 5, 6 o'clock. And the sister would say that she was looking at her brother, turned away for a second, and then looked back, and he was gone. And it was...
Well, shit! Just as fast as he is gone, bitch, I'm gone. Fuck the time. I'm not about this baby. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not. Where the hell he go that fast? In seconds? Where he go that fast?
Sudden that she actually went to go look for him and couldn't find him. So she went and told her mom and her dad, and they start calling for their son, and they're looking all over their campsite, and he's gone. Authorities show up, and they launch a full search. And for 5 hours, they have hundreds of people scouring this area, not only the campsite, but the surrounding areas. And there's no trace of this boy. 5 hours later, they find him laying in a thicket on a trail that had been searched multiple times. And it wasn't like hidden. The thicket was like right by the side of the trail.
What the hell is a thicket?
If you search this trail, you found this kid. So meaning he couldn't have been there during the search. He must have arrived and then they found him on this trail. Everybody was so happy that they found this kid and he wasn't physically harmed that no one really looked into the fact that it doesn't make any sense that he is here. How did he get here? Where did he go? Where has he been? No one thought about that. They were like, we got the kid.
Wow. No, nobody and their mama thought about that shit? You didn't think that was weird? How does somebody That fast? That fast? No, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. How does y'all? What?
We're all happy. The parents are happy. Everyone's ready to just move on. And so the kid goes to the hospital. The doctor looks at the kid and says, you know what? He's fine. This is obviously a traumatic situation, but he's fine. You can take him home. And so the kid goes home with his parents, and pretty quickly the family went back to normal.
I'm not taking that kid home. I don't know who kid that is. I'm not taking that thing home. I don't know who kid that is. I don't know what it is, but I'm not taking that thing back home. I'm not. What do you call somebody? Something that's a person and or a thing or it. What would that word be combined? Person, thing. Combine person and thing. Person, thing, son. Per thing. Is that it? Does that sound good? Per thing? Well, I don't know if I made it up or not, but you heard it here first. If you didn't, they stole it from me. Per thing. Per thing. PERTHING thing. Because I don't know if that kid that they found is a real human being or if that's a paranormal entity. I wouldn't even try. I would just leave that kid right there. I don't care. I can make another one.
Super grateful that they didn't lose their son. About 3 weeks after this whole ordeal, the boy is with his grandmother, who he called Cappy.
Sus.
And he looks at Cappy and he goes, I don't like the other Cappy. And so his grandmother, the real Cappy, she looks at him and she was like, what do you mean? Now, remember, this is a 3.5-year-old boy. Language skills, not the best, okay? But this story that he tells his grandmother, he had previously told his father, but the father had written it off as the ramblings of a 3.5-year-old.
Really?
It wasn't until the grandmother told the father about the story that he was like, I've heard that story. And so the boy says, while he was camping, he turned and he saw Cappy.
Huh?
Waving to him to come with him. And so he loves Cappy and he goes with Cappy, and Cappy leads him up a hill to a cave. Now the whole time, the real Cappy, who wasn't there, she was not with them camping. She's thinking, oh my God, someone who looks like me abducted this child. So she's listening, horrified. He said, she brought me up to a cave. And when we got into the cave, he said there were spiders and purses, like women's purses. And he turned to look at Cappy, and he said that her head was glowing.
Oh, wow.
And it was when he realized this is not Cappy.
No
this
shit.
Is other Cappy. And he said the other Cappy kept asking him questions, but he didn't know the answers. And so the other Cappy got frustrated and told him to leave and pushed him out of the cave. And he said that he left the cave and wound up in the thicket, and that's when he was found. And so when Cappy goes and tells the father, and the father says, I've heard that story, they're like, that's so weird. Do you think there's any truth to this? Is there someone that looked like me, Cappy, that took the boy away? And so as Cappy and the boy's father are talking, Cappy feels compelled to share her own strange story about being on Mount Shasta. Because prior to this, the family, I think the way they were looking at what happened is the boy wandered off and he returned 5 hours later. But with the boy's story being kind of corroborated by...
But, hold on. Nobody saw this boy wander off, just walk the hell off. I don't want to play the race card, but again, I guarantee you, they are not black. This is not a black family. The chances, like on some real shit, of a black kid just wandering off, more than not a black kid wandering off is pretty slim. Especially if the kid looked like this part of the pillow. Y'all be doing some dumb, weird, cluck shit. Like I posted a like a reaction type video on my Instagram of like this horse licking this white girl's neck, and she was just enjoying that shit. What the fuck? How did nobody notice this kid was just wandering off? It seemed like he wandered off pretty quickly. And right now, I'm not really feeling both Cappies. I'm not. Because somebody is capping. Ha! What? I don't know.
His father, who heard the same story, Cappy's like, I got to share my story now because I don't know if it's connected, but I had a very strange experience on Mount Shasta as well a year ago. You know, she went camping a year earlier with her friend, and they go to a campsite on Mount Shasta, the same place the boy disappeared, and apparently saw the other Cappy. And so Cappy says that night they're sitting around the campfire and it's dark, and she notices a set of eyes in the woods that were glowing.
Oh my
glowing
God.
Red eyes, she says. And you know, Cappy and her friend, they go camping all the time. And so they know there could be predators and animals all over the place. And so they grab their flashlights and they shine in the direction of the eyes. And the eyes dart away and they don't think anything of it. Over the course...
What the fuck? What are you talking about? Unless you're Adidas protected up there? Really? Unless you're Adidas protected. You shining your light in where you thought you saw some glowing red eyes? You don't just think nothing of it. You don't just be like, is that glowing red eyes? Let me go ahead and flash a bright ass light in this complete darkness around me. Let me just go ahead and just shine it. Oh no, it's gone. Let's get back to the shits. What are you talking about? All of your focus should be on that thing with the two bloodshot eyes. What the fuck? What the hell, Clark? Sorry. It's just like why would you go back to what the hell you were doing? All of your clucking focus should be on them two red bloodshot eyeballs. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
The eyes would keep showing up all around them. And every time they'd shine a light in their direction, they would vanish. Cappy and her friend are unable to get the light on this thing. So they don't know what it is. And so they're very uneasy about it. But they decide, you know what? We're psyching ourselves out. It's just an animal that's interested in us.
Wow.
And so they go to bed and they sleep in their own... She slept in a tent and he slept in a camper. And they go to bed. And the next morning, Cappy wakes up and she's laying on the dirt outside of her tent.
Wow.
And immediately she has pain in the back of her neck. And so she reaches back and she grabs her neck and she can feel there's a cut on the back of her neck. She doesn't know what it is and she looks up and her friend is on the ground outside of his camper face down as well. And so she gets up, she feels horrible, like sick, like violently sick in fact. And she kind of staggers away over to her friend who is laying there, and she can see too that he's got a mark on his neck, and he gets up and he's like, what happened? And they assumed that they had been bitten by, a poisonous spider. That's actually what they believed, because it was...
You sure? You sure? Because your belief sucks. Your first thought wasn't those blood red eyeballs. It wasn't that creature, that thing, huh? That wasn't your immediate reaction? What the hell that was circling around you with those bloodshot eyes? You thought it was a spider? Really?
Puncture wound on both of their necks, and that it had caused them to be sick and delirious. They had wandered out of their camper and their tent, and they had wound up on the ground. But now, as Cappy is retelling the story, she was like, I don't know how to connect that experience with what happened to the boy, but I can't help but feel like something weird's happening.
No shit!
And it would turn out that, maybe they weren't wrong, because Mount Shasta is like a hotspot for missing 411 strange disappearances. And in fact, our next story is another Mount Shasta case. In 1999, Carl Landers was a very experienced hiker, climber, whose passion in life was, on the weekends or any chance he got, was to go hiking and climbing and camping. That was just what he did. He was in great shape. He was enjoying retirement. That was his happy place, is being on a mountain somewhere in California, hiking around. And he had two very close friends that he would go hiking with just about every chance he could. In 1999, in the summer, Carl decides he wants to summit Mount Shasta. And it's something he had attempted to do before, and he had been unsuccessful, and this time he was going to do it. And so Mount Shasta, it's high enough, it's about 14,000 feet, that it's not uncommon for people to stop at this point called Lake Helen, where, hikers can adjust to the altitude. Because it's
Okay, I have a question. It's random. It's not that random, but like, where do people be coming up with these names? Like Mount Rushmore, or like Mount Everest, or like, what did he just say? Mount Helen? Like, how do you even come up with these? Because you racist. You racist. And you nameless. That's not a word. I just made it a word. Click top on. You are so nameless right now. That sound like a word. That sound like it'd be a word. Because you got racist, you got bias, you got sexist, feminist, and nameless. How you gonna name something, right? A human name. Helen. Mount Helen. What? Or Lake Helen. Well, I don't know what he said. I heard Helen. How you gonna, like, what possess, what's like did a group of small people just go up to the mountain or whatever? And like one of the people was like named Helen. And what did y'all do? Y'all just like that? Or did y'all do like a, you know what I mean? Or was it like I don't know. Like, how did y'all come up with that name? Cause please don't name no cluck shit after me. Please, no. Marcus or Gattor, please. Like, how do y'all come up with this shit? Like, this mason jar. I'm gonna call it. I mean, it looks like it. I mean, it's clear. All right. It's strong. It's glass. I don't know. Oh, I got the name. I got the perfect name. James. What? What?
It's possible to get sick from being at altitude if you don't adjust to it, or if your body doesn't respond well to it. And so their plan was get to Lake Helen, camp out for the night, and then summit the next day. So they head up in May of 1999, the three of them. They get to Lake Helen, and they set up their camp for the night. It's clear that Carl already had some sort of altitude sickness, because by the time they reach Lake Helen, he's weak, he's sick, and he figures, I'm going to try to sleep it off tonight. I'll see how I feel in the morning. And so all night, Carl is just super sick. It's a horrible night for him. And so early the next morning, Carl is a real stubborn guy, and he really wanted to climb Mount Shasta. He said,
I can't, no. Carl's gonna have to shut that shit up. Shut that shit down. Carl, come on, man. Please. I'm about to duct tape your lips together or some shit. Cause we in the mountains. You know what I mean? God only knows what's up here. It's not just us. Cause you doing all this, shut up, Carl. Shut that shit up.
and say, look, I'm just going to get a head start here. I've been up basically all night. I'm going to just get up the last stretch here, summit this mountain, and then come back down and be done with it. And so his two friends, they didn't like the idea of splitting up, but Carl's an experienced guy. And I mean, he's only covering a distance of maybe 650 feet. Like, this is not some epic distance he's covering. It's basically like a day hike. So Carl leaves on his own. He leaves his backpack at the campsite, and his two friends would watch him as he kind of bent around the mountain and went up towards the summit, and that would be the last time they ever saw him. The two friends would attempt to summit as well about 30 minutes later. One of them apparently had gotten sick overnight and said, look, I can't do this, and he stays at the camp. He's like, I'll be here. You know, we've already split up from Carl. Why don't you also go on your own, summit yourself, and I'll be here. I'll wait for Carl. I'll wait for you.
No,
friend
no.
that does make the summit. He goes up, he follows the same trail, the short distance up to the summit, gets to the summit, and he hasn't seen Carl. He's not shocked. It is a little strange that they wouldn't have passed on the way, but he's thinking, you know, anything could have happened. Maybe he sat down somewhere, I don't know what it is, and then comes back down expecting to see Carl back at the campsite. So he gets back to the campsite at Lake Helen where the other sick friend had not left. He was still there. And he says, hey, has Carl come back? And the friend's like, no, didn't you see him on the way up? Did you lap him? Like, what's he doing up there? And he's like, no, I went up. I didn't see him on the way up. I didn't see him at the summit, and I didn't see him on the way down. And they're thinking to themselves, like, thinking about the trail itself. It's incredibly open. There's almost nowhere to like fall. There's no crevasse. There's no sheer cliff. You know, there's almost no vegetation really to obscure you. It just didn't make any sense that you could vanish. A huge search is launched. They never found anything. There was also 50 to 100 people in the area that day, and nobody knew where he went. No one saw him. No one had any idea what happened to him. They interviewed everybody there. No one knows what happened to Carl. The only clue that we have of Carl is the backpack that he left at Lake Helen before he made the summit run. Other than that, for 20 years, we have no clue what happened to him. None. So this next story is really creepy. One of the strange phenomenons that you get inside of these missing 411 stories is you have people that go missing really suddenly, like as if they were pulled away at high speed and just ripped off the face of the mountain. And this story is one of those stories. In 2010, Eric Lewis was 57 years old. He was an extremely experienced mountain climber, and he had two very close friends that were also very experienced mountain climbers. And they decided that they wanted to go hike Mount Rainier in Washington State, which is a huge mountain. And they were doing a climb that was fairly technical and fairly dangerous, and it required the three of them to be tethered together on the same cable. And so as they're making this ascent of Mount Rainier, you have friend one in the front, friend two in the middle, and then Eric Lewis is the third guy on the line all the way down. And so the way it worked is the first climber, friend number one, if he wanted to rest, the other two climbers would keep climbing up to his position and take a rest with him. So he was kind of in charge of setting the cadence of how quickly they were going to climb this mountain. And so over the course of the day, the first climber would stop periodically, and then the second climber and Eric would make their way up and wait and relax. All day that was happening. And then one time they come to a stop, and there's been nothing weird happening. Nothing's happened to this point. Everything feels very normal. The first guy stops, the second climber gets up to him, and then Eric doesn't show up. And so they pull on the line, and it's very light. And they pull it up, and the rope has been cut.
Damn!
Like, Eric's gone. And they're like, okay, only in an emergency would you cut the line. And so they just start immediately descending because they're like, well, it just snowed. It'll be very easy to track his footsteps. If he cut the line, he must have had a reason. Let's follow his footsteps to wherever he went. But the only footsteps on the mountain were the ones walking up, attached to the rope. Basically, Eric had been walking up, leaving footprints right behind the other two, and then the footprints just stopped.
Oh, shit.
Footprints that go back down. It was like he was pulled off of the mountain. And so they start walking down, thinking they're going to run into him, but they don't. The weather gets bad enough that they ultimately abandon the hike. They go down, and they're like, geez. They tell the authorities, and they're looking everywhere, and they can't find him. And then they discover this creepy cave that's like 200 feet down and away from where they were hiking. That would have been very hard to get to. Inside of this ice cave is Eric's gear, but no Eric. And they've never found Eric's body. But for that gear to get into the cave, it wasn't just, hanging on the edge. It was inside the cave. But there was no footprints leading to the cave. There's no footprints anywhere. It was just like inexplicably, Eric's gear winds up deep inside an ice cave 200 feet away, and Eric's body was never recovered, and no one has any idea what happened to him. So the last story is actually really two distinct stories, but they together make up a particular phenomenon that occurs inside some of these missing 411 cases, and that's when some creature takes a child and actually protects them. In 1868, a 3-year-old girl vanished abruptly from her father's camp in northern Michigan. The father...
This is what I don't understand. Maybe in my next life, you know what I mean, I'm gonna be with that cluck shit. I don't know. But there's, I think, 22 or 20 plus episodes of the 411 Jones, right? People just disappearing, vanishing, just without a trace. It would have been nice. I understand these are real stories, but it would have been nice and scary as hell and dope as shit to have a GoPro on, recording, and seeing that footage of them disappearing, and like the GoPro just like, you know, I mean, like being left behind or some shit. Like, that would be dope as shit. To have a GoPro on or some sort of camera on you physically, so when you do go missing, you know what I mean? It can be more, I don't know, like, it's just more to it. Because with all of these disappearing shits, it's like, how do you not hear them? How do you not see them? How do you not sense them? You know, like feel like how? That's what I don't understand. Like, what the hell? But that would be dope as shit. If one of these episodes of these 411 Jones got some camera footage of them disappearing, that would be dope as shit.
Noticed the girl was gone, in hysterics. He enlists the help of a couple professional hunters that were there with him. They go off looking for this girl, and after a couple of hours of looking, they start to hear what sounds like her voice. And she doesn't sound particularly distraught, but it's definitely a child's voice. And so they kind of cut through this big thicket, and out bursts this massive bear-looking thing that runs away from them. And they didn't shoot it or anything. They just saw this huge animal run away, and they're thinking the worst, because they're hearing this child, and now they're seeing this huge animal that looks like...
You know, it seems like with all it, well, I'm on the second, you know what I mean, the second episode, I guess, of the 401 series. But like, it seems to me like, unless you're looking at that person strong as hell, don't look away, nothing, or if you're close to them, like physically touching them, like holding hands, unless you're physically touching that person, or unless you're looking at them the whole time. When I say the whole time, barely blinking. Unless you're doing that, they're not going nowhere. It's only like after like a split second you look away, or if you know what I mean, you're not looking at them, you're not touching them, that's when they gone. Like, where do you go that fast?
They're running away. And, they go through the thicket and they find this girl who's totally unharmed, who was in this kind of clearing within the thicket where clearly this bear creature had been with her. And, the father's elated, he scoops up the child, and the child seems unhurt, and he asks her, like, where have you been? What happened? And she says, oh, Mr. Wolf took me.
Who?
And Mr. Wolf was feeding me berries, and Mr. Wolf was playing with me. Maybe it was a bear or a wolf or something, but some animal had taken her, brought her into a thicket, and had not harmed her. And so the other instance occurred in 1955, when a family that was made up of mother, father, and their 8 kids were staying in this camp in Montana. And they had all these different tents set up for all their kids. And some of the older kids were staying in one of the tents with their 2-year-old sister, Ida Mae. while the parents were working and the kids were doing whatever they were doing. And so these older kids are sitting deep inside the tent, and near the entrance to the tent is where Ida Mae, the 2-year-old, is sitting. And the tent is open, like the flap is open.
Why?
And as they're sitting there,
Why?
the older kids would later say that a bear wandered past, reached in, grabbed Ida Mae, and scooped her up into its arm. Now, a bear does not do this with its arm, but they described it like this. The bear was holding Ida like this and ran away on 3 legs instead of 4. And so the kids are freaked out because they just saw a bear take their 2-year-old away. They're basically hysterical. They sprint up to their mom and dad. They tell them what happened. And the parents just have no idea how to react to this. They obviously get in touch with authorities. They launch the search. And as they're doing the search, police are asking the kids, like, describe to us again what you saw. And they're like, it was a bear that was like holding our sister like this. And they were like, you got to be more descriptive because bears can't do that. Was it a person? Was it a hairy person? And the police just didn't buy that it was a bear. And so 2 days go by and they haven't found this child. And so the family obviously is thinking the worst. They're absolutely grief-stricken. And then one of the searchers finds the girl. And they find her about 300 yards away from the camp. She was inside of a very intentionally built structure. It was like a crudely built fort right against the riverbed. And inside it was like a den. And she was in there and she was totally unharmed and she was perfectly fine. And they take her out and they ask her, like, what happened? And she's 2. But she says, Mr. Bear fed me berries. Mr. Bear kept me here. Mr. Bear cuddled me. That's all we have. We don't know what this creature was, what bear is able to pull its arm in like this, but she felt totally unthreatened by it. And to this day, we don't really know if that was a bear or something else, but whatever it was, it didn't harm Ida, and Ida never felt threatened by it. These stories are just a fraction of the literal thousands of strange cases that David Paulides covers in his Missing 411 project. So if you enjoyed this video and you might want to see more content just like this, I would encourage you to gently uppercut the like button and then subscribe to my channel and turn on all post notifications so you don't miss any of my 3 to 4 weekly uploads of content just like this. So if you want to get in touch with me, you can message me on Instagram. My handle is JohnBallen416. I'm also very active on TikTok. My handle is Mr. Ballen over there. I go live on TikTok almost every day of the week at around 10 p.m. Eastern. So I hope to see you on other platforms or on YouTube or all of them. But either way, I really appreciate your support. And that's going to do it, guys. Until next time, talk to you later.
Yeah, that would be dope as shit if, like, out of one of these episodes, maybe it is, but it'd be dope as shit if, like, one of these episodes of these 401 Jones, there was actual footage of the people disappearing. That'd be dope as shit. But yeah, this doesn't make any sense though, like, at all. And I don't know how to explain it. I'm not going to try to even explain it. And the fact that we have places like this and creatures like that just does this shit is big shit. But thank you, Mr. Ballen, because I would definitely not be going to any of these places. I'm not going to be plucked up like the rest of these pluckies. I'm not. Keep it cool. Keep it classy. I love you. Stay happy. My family.